Hello, folks. This is your African diaspora teacher again, coming to you to explain in a plain man's language what the analysts are saying. As you all know, uh, there has been a conference of defense ministers from ECOWAS assembled in Abuja to discuss the way forward, and as we can see, we spotted our own president of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, battle ready in a military outfit of a general. But besides that, there has been a call for caution. There has been a call for caution because this thing can explode beyond everybody's imagination. As you all know, the U.S. do not go to war close by. They go far away where enemies cannot reach them. But what we are doing right now, we are going to war with our neighbors. Okay, Mali share borders, Niger share borders with Nigeria, and Burkina Faso shares border with Ghana. That is not good. The last time ECOWAS put forces together to go and do anything, any military adventure for the first time, for the first time in West Africa's history, it was far away Liberia, far from, and the contributors of the forces were mainly Ghana and Nigeria. Okay, and it was far away from Nigeria, far away from Ghana. Liberia was far away from Nigeria. Liberia was far away from Ghana. And by the time they got in there, the war is almost like in the 6th year or something like that, or the 4th year or the 6th year. And Charles Taylor's military and Johnson, whatever they call his name, they were all battle fatigued. They were all tired. So ECOMOC went in there, not really prepared, not really equipped. The budget was footed by Nigeria because by then Nigeria had something in, some money. And the military was stronger, not the one that could not go after 270 girls when the girls were being kidnapped by Boko Haram. Not that military. The military of Abacha or Babangida or whatever the region was in a better position, and also that of Ghana, but the leadership was under Nigerian leadership. And when it went to Liberia was battle fatigued. The soldiers were almost demoralized. So it wasn't easy, but they rescued Liberia from total collapse. That was then, and Liberia was far away from Ghana and Nigeria. This is a different scenario now. So to look at it as if we did it before, we've been there before, no, it's a different era, different scenario. You see, so we should be very cautious. So as people are calling for caution, we should listen to some of the voices that are in the wilderness calling for caution. So we're gonna make some
Right, joining us in the studio is a global affairs analyst, Chuks Woko. It's nice to have you join us.
Right, good to see you again.
All right.
Morning.
Good morning. Now, you've been following this development, I know, and as it is, there seems to be a lot of confusion as to if ECOWAS after the ultimatum, which should end, I think, on Sunday or so, if he ends there and there is the threat of the use of force, of course, when the military say there's going to be use of force, it's only one way. We're going to see jets, you're going to see soldiers, you're going to see guns, as the case may be. Now, going into that realm is what a lot of people have been confused about. Is it the right thing to do? Is it not the right thing to do at this time? As the leader of ECOWAS, of course, if you watch the body language of President Tinubu when he was making that statement,
yeah,
it tells you how emphatic and firm his body language already spoke it, and it was clear. Now the Chief of Defense Staff and Military Intelligence have been meeting in Abuja. I think the meeting will conclude either today or tomorrow, whatever the thing is. But I wonder what you are making from this whole issue.
Okay,
you know that our president, if you follow his trajectory way back when we were fighting for restoration of democracy, you can actually describe him as a Democrat. But at this point, I think he's hypocritical. Because when you're dealing
hypocritical,
yeah, for me, he's hypocritical because, I mean, he's just completely hypocritical.
That is some kind of a strong condemnation, criticism, but let's move on. Hypocritical. Let that one sink in. Okay.
Because when you are an adult and you have a child and you're treating and your child took ill, or even you as a parent you're ill and you're dealing with some symptoms of your setback, it just doesn't make sense. This thing they are planning, I think that the junta in Niger and all the Burkina Faso and other people who are in support of the junta in Niger, they are also military people. They're probably going to wait to see what these ECOWAS chiefs and their military are going to do. Because they're also military. They probably will wait and see it and then run away and all that. But they're not going to listen to what these people are saying. Because you're talking about democracy and restoration of democracy.
Okay, before he goes on democracy and what that definition you want to give, let me just remind you about a young guy who also analyzed this thing on YouTube. What he was saying that caught my attention. It's that he looked across Africa and found out that most of the militaries in this belt that I showed you yesterday, from Niger to Senegal, through Burkina Faso, Mali, they are not well paid, and to him that is a plus for these people that are not well paid. He mentioned Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, Uganda. He said the boys in I call them boys. I don't mean little boys. Affectionately call them the boys. The boys in the army are paid less than $100 or $100 a month, and he even said Ghanaian army, get paid more than these countries. Uganda, he mentioned, even though we ain't doing nothing with East Africa. Okay, let's say Niger, Burkina Faso, what he's saying, what he was emphasizing is that if these boys can accept $100 a month in the military, listen, guys, that means they really love what they are doing. They really love what they are doing, and and the way he was analyzing it means that they are ready to die for their country because they love the job they are doing. Other people might go in for the money. When the money becomes good in Ghana, a lot of people who could not even finish their training join the army. There was a report maybe 6 years ago when young people, a bunch of them ran away from training and complaining, whining like babies that the training was too harsh, that they're not good, thinking maybe the public will have mercy on them, and they run away and thinking somebody will come and beg the sergeant major to take them back, but they were really, really thrown out and never returned because they were not caught for it. Okay, but some who toughen it up, remaining, but they were not caught for the job because the money became so good. So this bunch of cowards found their way in the training and could not stand the training. But back then, in the same Ghana Armed Forces, back then, the pay was not good, but people toughened it up and went through the training. So this boy is saying now the pay is good in certain countries, but where countries where, especially in the Sahel countries where the pay is not good, the soldiers are in for the job, not for the money, and that can be a decisive moment in who can stand to fight to the letter, or who will run and try to fight next time. So I just want to put that one into it. Listen to the guys.
But you sit here, you have a group, you have a bloc in the in West Africa. You have the AU. Don't they have a peer review mechanism to check what these Democrats who actually abuse the democracy, the way they govern their people and the way... Why don't you deal with the symptom of this problem? These juntas that you want to go and remove, are they not citizens of the same country? Do they not currently have support of their citizens? Do they not have support of their citizens? Let the Europeans go to their own place and stay in their countries and mind their business in the place and stop putting their noses where it does not belong. Whatever the ECOWAS team wants to do, like you said, you use the right word. There's an air of confusion surrounding what is going on and what is going to happen. But you and I, my counsel is that we need to wait till the expiration of the mandate and the ultimatum that has been given. I am waiting to see what is going to happen. But I think that we need to be honest in whatever it is that we're doing. Democracy, has been here in Nigeria, for instance, for going to 30 years now. We thank God for it. Is that where Africans have been ruled from pre-independence? Or you just foisted this thing on these people and it's not working, and they have this constant change of government, military. Listen.
Okay, so let me remind you all about something. The guy is saying something about you see, time limit is something that Europeans play with because they all the time don't have time. Europeans are like a bunch of criminals who do not have time. They don't have time when they are stealing because they have to steal quick, and amass quick. So they have time. They have time limit on everything. You understand? They have time limit on everything. So during the 1994, heading towards the election in South Africa, right? Mandela was being pressured to go for the election. Meanwhile, the Natal king, Buthelezi, was not ready. The Inkatha party was not ready, and there was a fight on the streets of killing Inkatha, fighting NIC, whatever they call it, ANC. ANC. Okay, and Mandela came out from prison and said, no, there's a third party hand hidden in this, street fighting where people are killing each other based on party politics. So he said no. And Inkatha is saying that they're not going to participate in the election. And then the date or the final date is approaching, and Inkatha was not even on the ballot paper. So Mandela said, okay. And Mandela saw that this is not going to go very well of all this timetable. The Europeans want the timetable. Let's move on so that we can install Mandela as president and everything will be fine and there will be paradise. Mandela said no. So he said everything in Africa move on consensus. That is my argument. Consensus. So the election date came and gone. Mandela said, we're not going to hold the election. Timetable or no timetable, we're not holding no election based on any timetable from whatever area, Lancaster House, from Washington, D.C., or from New York, or from London, or from Paris. We're not going to hold no election. So the election date passed by. And Mandela and King Buthelezi had tete-to-tete, talking to each other, and there has been compromise. And Inkatha's name was, in fact, handwritten. 1994, millions of ballot papers were already printed because the Europeans were pushing so that there should be peace, so that we continue making our money. Black people have their president, and the capitalists will have their money and the land and the farm and the mines and everything, and then there will be peace because black people got black president. That's the way they think of us. Give them the black president and we get the money. So they were just pushing. So that all these sanctions on South Africa will be lifted and everything will be just good again. But there is somebody who is not satisfied with the situation, and the fight that to kill each other, black people, black on black crime was going on between Inkatha and ANC supporters. Mandela said, no, forget about whatever the deadline is. Forget about the deadline. Africa work on consensus. This democracy where winner takes all and amass wealth and everything, if we could have a consensus, we all can argue our positions and then have a hand on the table or a share of the national cake equally. Consensus, not timetable, not deadlines. Okay, so when the consensus was reached between Mandela himself and Chief Buthelezi, a new date was set for the election in 1994. And all these millions, tens of millions of over 100 million, or whatever million it is that they printed, over maybe 20 million ballot papers, were handwritten. Inkatha was added as the last name of the party. Handwritten, because they could not throw the whole paper away and print a new one just because of to make a room for Inkatha party, but it was handwritten. That is the painful thing that they went through, because they have reached consensus and Buthelezi has been given a slot on the ANC party, where he became the interior minister or whatever and there has been peace ever since. No more Inkatha ANC friction. Nothing. It ended. So consensus is what holds in Africa. Europeans are pushing for deadline. They are the one who brought about this. Give them deadline because they are stealing uranium. African leaders knew about it. All the ministers knew about it. All the defense ministers knew about it. All the president knew about it, what they were doing. But they're all part of it because they've been shut down by a lot of money. They've been shut down by a lot of money. So we have to be very, very, very cautious. Don't be pushed by foreign elements to go and bring war to ourselves. This war is not Liberia. Liberia was far away from Nigeria. Liberia was far away from Ghana. So when we were there doing whatever we were doing, killing the Liberian, Charles Taylor's people, Sergeant Doe's people, and all that minor actors people, we know it will not spill into Ghana because it's far away. This is a different ball game, different animal we're going to be dealing with.
Here and there. So in Niger, you need to sympathize with the people. The government needs to demonstrate compassion. That was missing. That was missing. There's poverty in the place. The people are not careful. And the way of life of the people. Those are the issues we need to discuss. Because this thing, you went to go and bring it somewhere. For instance, in our own country, democracy is about 30 years old here. You know how long we have lived here? And people like us have been advocating that we also implement, what is it called, modifications here and there. So in Niger, you need to sympathize with the people. The government needs to demonstrate compassion. That was missing. That was missing. There's poverty in the place. The people are not careful. And I can tell you for free that if they had modified the system of government to accommodate everybody, you won't have this situation that you have right now.
Yeah, but the point there is, the message from the reports we are getting and the body language and the statements by ECOWAS is that in the 21st century, we can't be encouraging more coups. Of course, every country has its domestic issues. There are issues of corruption in almost all countries of the world. Everybody's grappling with that. There are issues of poverty in so many countries of the world. People are grappling with that.
So it has been normalized.
Issues of government, all of those things are there. If you check all the indexes, you see all countries are going down. Very few countries
that is supposed to be normal.
Performance indexes around the world.
You see.
But the issue of military truncating democracy, I believe it is a message that ECOWAS wants to send. When it comes to justifying it, there is no way, whether there was corruption in the Niger Republic or even in all of those countries or not. For instance, the issue of slavery that has passed in the last century. In the modern setting, no one can talk about slavery and there's justification for it right now. The issue of colonialism. When colonialism was there, nobody can talk about colonialism in the 21st century and everybody's going to find justification for that. It's the same thing they're saying about military dictatorship. What do you say?
I tell you that I don't know, maybe because I did not attend the kind of school that you attended. I went to school though. This democracy thing, I don't have a problem with it, because if you say otherwise, you become enemy of the people. I studied government in secondary school, and I've been following governments. I know what is going on globally. The world that we live in today is in trouble, whether it's in Chile, whether it's in Gambia, whether it's even in the United States, whether it's in Great Britain. There are hiccups. Look, do you know what is going on in the United States with the democracy? I think they are the custodians, as well, to the no longer Greece of democracy. Go and see what has been going on there since 2004, when Al Gore and George Bush contested the election. Except you're not a student of history. Africans have the habit of going to the market to buy wholesale products, whether it's good for us or not. You talked about slavery. Who told you slavery is no longer in existence?
That's right.
No, how do you come to the conclusion that we no longer have slavery?
That's right. Ask him.
How do you also come to the conclusion that there's no longer colonization? We are being recolonized by the white man in a different way. Our brains have been harvested, and we speak like them, we act, and they make us think like them. Going to the market to buy wholesale products, whether it's good for us or not. You talked about slavery. Who told you slavery is no longer in existence? No, how do you come to the conclusion that we no longer have slavery? How do you also come to the conclusion that there's no longer colonization? We are being recolonized by the white man in a different way. Our brains have been harvested, and we speak like them, we act, and they make us think like them. Look, in 2020, there was an election where Donald Trump was elected. Till tomorrow, they said all kinds of things about that man. That in fact, the word they used, and they're still using, is that he was an illegitimate president. And all the things that they said. If our brains have not been harvested, we will know that from that place, in that country, that democracy and power is shifting to Russia. Power is changing hands. Now, you are not able to see that physically, but I'm telling you, I'm telling you, this thing is beginning to fade. There's need for us to buy and reshape and recreate. When we lack creativity, we'll buy things and use it and it will destroy us. We need, even within our own sphere here, we need to sit down and look at how we can make changes to accommodate. You and I have been removed from the political equation in this country permanently. Me and my generation, if something is not done, because I don't have 100 million naira to buy a ticket, not even for a local government chairman. I don't have. So it means I will never participate in my life in the political process. We need to sit down. When you go to Niger to go and restore that man, you think he will not be removed again? I think that there should be a negotiation. There should be give and take. They should not use force. Because really, can you force a man? There are things you cannot force me to. I would rather die. At a personal level, you come and ask me to do certain things. That's the human being. That's the human nature that we all carry. You are threatening people that you want to come and remove them from power in their own sphere. Do you know what they've been going through? Did you talk to the democratically elected president to say this thing you're doing? Did you check yourselves?
Peer review.
Look, peer review is very important since you have a block, the ECOWAS group. The democracy you people are talking about, I don't have anything against democracy. I'm just saying that the place where you borrowed it from, go and see. Look, the Al Gore and George W. Bush election of 2004 is still something you need to go and study. The election that brought Trump to power is not enough lesson for you. I think that we should play with caution because you cannot, as a block, start what you can't finish. My suggestion is that they should approach this guy with patience.
With caution. I said there should be cool heads. What we're jumping into is not in the best interest of the region. As the man said, do you think some people will sit down like a pussycat and then you're going to jump over them? They are also military men. As I said earlier, their pay is not good. So if they are in the military and taking $100 a month, that means they love the military. You see, some people will say, ECOWAS did it again. We did it before. We went to Jamal's Guinea, Gambia, and toppled him because he refused to leave. So we did it, and we can tap ourselves on the shoulder and say we did it. The Gambia is 500,000 people. In a population of 500,000 people, when you take the children and the old people away, how much is left to join the army and how much is the budget for the military? So if Jammeh's military, which is probably about 5,000 people and probably divided, it's normal to run him and his army out of town. So ECOMO can go over there and be like the a small town dude, a big with a big city attitude. Okay, a small town dude with a big city attitude. That's what ECOMO went to Gambia and did. A small army, like a size of maybe probably the New York Police Department force is even bigger than the whole army of Gambia. So if Jammeh, the president, then wanted to stay in power and ECOMOG went over there and ran him out of town, that is not the same. With Niger is 36 million, 27 million people. And that number is probably undercounted. The last time I checked, from Guinea to Burkina Faso to Niger and Mali, it's all about 120 million people. Almost half of West African population. This is not the Gambia of 500,000, 500 something thousand people in the whole of Gambia. 500,000, 560,000. 5 and not up to 1 million. The Gambia. Check it out. So ECOMOG could have victory in the Gambia of a population of 500,000, not billion, 500,000, 560,000 people with a army force, a standing army of about 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, maybe 8,000. Ghana with a population of 30 million, 35 million people has army standing. Check it out. It's about 16, 18,000. About 18,000. About 18,000. The Ghana Armed Forces main standing, I don't know if they have some reserves anywhere, but what Google tells me, it's about 18,000. So if Ghana, out of 32 million people, you could have only 18 million standing army for you. What about 500,000 of, with the strain of budget that we have? So victory for ECOMOG in the Gambia is nothing to write home about.
Before setting up a unit or anti-coup d'etat unit in ECOWAS,
Let's listen to this guy.
isn't it time that the African head of states or the ECOWAS head of states look into the reason why there are coup d'etats? What are the root causes of coup d'etats? Let them put their house in order first before they set up an anti-coup d'etat unit. Let them put their house in order. And I believe their house is not in order. This unit is set up to defend them and to protect them only, nobody else. What is more coup d'etat than your national constitution gives you 2-term limit, 5 years, 2 terms. After serving 10 years, you want to change the constitution for another term. Is that not a coup d'etat?
Well,
because you feel you have the powers to do that. The soldiers have the powers to coup d'etat. That is also another coup d'etat. And they are living with them there. They are there. In the name of civilian, putting on mufti clothes, calling yourself a Democrat, when you loot all the resources of your country, mislead people, torture them, imprison them, burn their businesses to us, and you call that a democracy? Or a civilian rule and an illegally elected government? The leaders must stop lying to their electorate first. They must stop the corruption. They must stop looting our resources. They must understand that they are not a better citizen than anybody. They are given a responsibility, a role to play to help develop the countries and make sure that there is peace and tranquility and respect the constitution of the country.
that is a opposition leader in the Gambia. Yeah, that's right. So he knows what he's talking about.
But this is not happening. Example is this government. This government has lied to people in 2016 that they are going only for 3 years. Was that not a lie?
Okay, that's venturing into Gambian politics. But what he said earlier was almost something that I cut across board. When Ouattara changed the constitution and win the third time, and he's still in power. See the hypocrisy, because that's what they mentioned, the hypocrisy. In the beginning of this video, the man was talking about the hypocrisy of our leaders. Okay, when I think the Guinean president was deposed and the ECOWAS again summon the head of state to go over there and talk to the coup leaders to and reason up with them to reinstate a la Conte or something. Wow, I think that was his name. And earlier when Burkina Faso also, I think Burkina Faso was the first to do it. Guess who was in the delegation to go and talk to these people and to reason with them to reinstate their friend? Ouattara. And the man just said, when you tweak the constitution and go the third time after your term limit, that is a coup d'etat. But whose definition you see? Ouattara changed the constitution against term limit when the third time, and at that time the president of Ghana was the ECOWAS chair. As a matter of fact, they went in together in one plane to go and talk to the people who removed a president because he wanted to go third time, to reinstate him for the third time. They didn't come together to say, why you want to go the third time? The same time with a Guinean president trying to go the third time. In Senegal, Sall Mao, whatever he called, his name was the president, changed the constitution and went to third time. That is something that is so prevalent around all French colony. France will school you. France will school you, will educate you, will tell you how to do it. If it cannot be done, he will tell you how you could do it. Maybe through ethnicity, tribe, your people, weaponized tribe differences to do it. Anything that you could. France got the whole thing to a science. If you want to stay over your term limit and go like a young boy, sleeping with a teenage girl for the first time, you want to go all night long. Talk to France. France, the criminal organization. Yes, that's how I call it. France is a criminal organization. Period. It's not a country. It's a criminal organization. You want to stay in power for long and then probably give it to your son. Talk to France.